But you've got sound reinforcement in the building, and it's struck me for a long time that every time David and I report on sound reinforcement for a classical event or an opera, the PA system or whatever electronics is going on is very much sort of like whisper it gently, you know, it's not really here.
Yeah.
Partly that's the art of a good sound system.
That's the biggest part of what we do. Is the hardest part of what we are about is actually making sure that the audience don't believe that what we're doing is happening. Audio reinforcement is probably about 40% of what we're about. But when we do it, it's not to be seen or heard. Classical conductors would very, very much be suspicious about the fact that all of a sudden if it becomes noticeable, that's it, game over. Our audience are very much, I don't want to hear it as though it's coming from that loudspeaker. So when we do an offstage chorus or an offstage band, it has to sound as natural as possible, and that's part of the bigger problem. In actual fact, is making it sound as natural as possible.
Using delays and so on,
yeah,
the artist to sort of focus the attention on, even if it's completely artificially constructed.
Yeah,
you need to believe that you're actually listening
hearing
to
something that's naturally acoustic. And again, you've got I suppose we've got the actual blessed with the fact that a lot of what we're hearing, be it an offstage chorus, an offstage band, what you're hearing is a very good source to begin with. And if you've got a good source to begin with, then you've got something to work with that then you can enhance and actually sound as natural as possible. And that's the difficult thing.
Is it the audiences, would you say, particularly are sort of touchy about this? Or is it more...
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. If, for instance, you're paying upwards of £100 a ticket, sitting in the grand tier, you're listening to Traviata, something that's written 150 years ago, that all of a sudden there's an offstage chorus, an offstage band that sounds synthesised, you'll be hard done by. So the idea is that you want to sound as natural as possible. But also I think what's important is the fact that conductors are very, very suspicious of, generally very suspicious of what we're about anyway, because also they're handing something over to someone who's not a musician, generally. So all of a sudden their take on it is very different. They're handing it to someone who's now pushing a fader on a mixing desk, they don't know where, and they've got no control over it whatsoever. So they've got to believe in that as well. And I think what's important over the last, certainly 10 years, I think with conductors generally, they're a bit more technically savvy. They've got an idea that something's going on that they need to believe in. But also I think that in occasions, for them, they have come into a world that sets are far larger, it's not going back 100 years where it used to be cloth sets with kind of backdrops that were like thin cloths and all the rest of it. I mean, if you go back to the days of Verdi and Wagner, the offstage conductors used to peek through holes in the cloths to see the conductor, to then conduct the offstage band. Now we don't have that luxury. We rely on conductor monitors, loudspeakers to provide the fold back. So there's all of that to consider. So they've got to be far more trusting of the technology in order to get what they want. That's
And do you think they are becoming more trusting of it?
I think so. I think because, now with people, we all know we've all got iPhones, we've got iPads. Conductors are exactly the same, and I think they've embraced the technology as well. And I think what's moved on from there is, unlike the days have gone by when Schulte, Muti, Abardo, all those big conductors, now it's come into a different world. And all of a sudden they're very much more reliant on the technology in order to produce what they've got to produce, basically.